More voter data is now in the hands of the Trump administration, and some other interesting characters will meet. A Republican congressman breaks with his party on health care. A Democratic congresswoman talks about a former staffer under arrest. A no BS explanation of a Denver urban legend.
A lot of people seem to think that it looks like it's a bird kind of pooping on the city and county building. That's like the position that it's in, with the rise of wings and the tail back there.
The Great American Beer Fest sold out again, but this time it was different. And the lost yaks of Larimer County return, and they're angry. Next. 5,300 Coloradans have fled our voting rolls because that voter data is being given to the Trump administration. That despite us pointing out that self-disenfranchisement is a funny way to fight official disenfranchisement. And despite the fact that our names, our addresses, our political party affiliations are public for all to see. Hundreds of people and groups have requested this info. It's just no one decided to create political panic about it until now. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
This isn't going to go well.
This is the list of everyone who requested your voter information from January 2012 to January 2017, long before President Trump's Voter Fraud Commission sent this letter to Colorado asking for similar data. As I told you last month, anyone can get your name, address, birth year, and how often you have voted.
Hi, my name is Anna Staver.
My name's Marshall Zellinger. I'm a reporter in Denver.
We hit the phones, reaching out to just a handful of the 388 people who requested your info. Some you'd expect, like candidates, political parties, and political consultants. Some had us puzzled.
I'm just curious why the University of Notre Dame needed that information.
A Notre Dame business professor requested the data in November for research. She wanted to compare party affiliation of bankruptcy judges to their decisions to see if one had anything to do with the other. She found out it doesn't.
We were just kind of curious as like what it was for, what you did with it, that kind of thing.
Skip Smashers in California did not return our voicemail, but its website says the company is the nation's top professional people finders and investigators. They help bounty hunters and with car repossessions. And the voter data has your address.
Hi, is Jason there?
Then there's Jason Julin.
Yeah, Jason, this is Marshall Zellinger.
He asked for the voter list on January 3rd. I called him in New York, and he told me it was out of, quote, pure curiosity. When I asked if he had requested from other states, he said he'd have to think about it and get back to me. Here's what you need to know about Jason. He lives on Long Island, here, where someone requested his home to be blurred on Google Maps. The guy who wants your publicly available information doesn't want you to know what his house looks like, but here's what it looked like at one time when the assessor took the picture. Because, you know, public record, like your voter data.
So from June 28th to July 28th, 5,300 of you withdrew your voter registration, and that's long after all these people already had your data. There's even one guy who regularly requests data to post online and makes money on the ad revenue. You can read about him by picking up your app right now and checking that out on our app.
Marshall, thank you. A Denver City Council committee has just advanced a plan to prohibit city employees from cooperating with immigration agents. We've explained how this proposal is likely to get Denver tagged as a sanctuary city and put us in danger of losing some funding from the federal government. The city insists it follows the law and is ready to fight it in court. Mayor Michael Hancock is now floating a less sweeping immigration plan for the city. Both are a ways from becoming official city policy, so we'll keep you updated. If Senate Republicans follow President Trump's orders and revive their failed Obamacare repeal, they won't necessarily have Congressman Mike Kaufman's help to get it through the House. The Republican from Aurora is writing his own ACA reform bill that preserves traditional Medicaid. And today, he told Marshall where he stands on the two plans that the Senate GOP is considering.
If you got a skinny repeal from the Senate, are you yes or no?
Well, I would be a no vote if it was going to go to the president's desk. But if it was for purposes of going to conference committee for further discussions, knowing that that would never be the final outcome, I would be for that.
What about a straight repeal?
Well, I think that what my concern on a straight repeal, if you said, okay, we're going to repeal, and the date certain for the repeal was long enough out, where it wouldn't disrupt the markets, and it gave Congress adequate time, I think that would be appropriate.
Today, we are hearing for the first time from Democratic Congresswoman Diana DeGette about her former staffer who was arrested while fleeing the country. DeGette says she doesn't think this IT staffer compromised the security of her information or her constituents from Denver.
So this is a former staffer who worked for several dozen members of Congress on a contract basis. And several months ago, some months ago, our chiefs of staff were called together, and they were told that there was a criminal investigation involving this individual. We terminated his employment because, frankly, he didn't have access to the House information, so he couldn't do his job.
DeGette's IT aide, Imran Awan, also did work for former Democratic National Committee Chair, Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Now, that has prompted all kinds of conspiracy theories about the election and emails and conservative media. Our questions to DeGette today focused on whether Awan had access to sensitive personal information that belongs to Coloradans. You'll note, though, that DeGette does not directly answer our question.
I don't have any information or belief that he has compromised any constituent information, and we have asked the investigators and also the House administration to please inform us if they get any information otherwise.
Awan is being held on bank fraud charges. There's a conservative watchdog group calling for a congressional investigation into why Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz kept Awan on her payroll after other reps, including DeGette, cut their ties. Colorado Mills Mall is out today saying that it hopes to have the halls of the mall open by Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. That would be 200 days since hail shredded the roof. Some stores with outdoor entrances could open as soon as later this month. Colorado Mills predicts it won't be completely repaired until early next year. Beer writers are furiously working on stories, wringing their hands over the potential demise of Denver's Great American Beer Festival. And why? Because the festival sold out today in 4 hours instead of selling out in 1. The Bacchanalian theme park of craft beer has been selling out in an hour and change ever since 2015, when they enlarged the hall to hold even more people wearing pretzel necklaces, beards of all variety, and occasionally costumes. Today's ticket sellout came in 4 hours and 15 minutes. GABF organizers tell us the number of tickets they sold was roughly the same, just appears to be a slower year. I have my tickets. I'll see you there. I'll be the 30-something white guy with a beer, so I should be easy to spot. It isn't all holding politicians accountable and defending your rights here on Next. We also make time for the important stuff, like searching for the lost yaks of Larimer County.
Back in January, a Next viewer spotted a hand-painted sign in search of lost yaks near Rocky Mountain National Park. And those yaks are still on the loose, doing yak stuff near the park. 3 Next viewers have spotted them recently, so thank you Ted, John, and Bard for keeping Yak Search 2017 alive. The yaks were seen in the same area where they disappeared, acting all angry toward dogs on trails. We showed the photos to the yak's owner. He confirms, yep, his yaks.
The yak's owner told us he hopes that the Larimer County Search and Rescue Team is willing to help him. So I called him. Search and Rescue told me they might occasionally look for an animal, but they hadn't even heard of the legendary lost yaks of Larimer County.
For a true high, forget your neighbor's basement. Let's head for America's highest garden patch in Colorado with a purpose. And we track down the real story behind a great story that's told on so many tours of Denver.
This story doesn't sound like it holds a lot of water, the Eagle story.
Well, not to me personally. I don't know if someone else has a better source of documentation for it, but I personally don't.
Let's get real. Next.
Hi, welcome back. Meteorologist Kathy Sabin here, and you're halfway through the week. Today, not terribly eventful in Denver. 90 degrees, beautiful summer weather here, but tracking some severe storms out on the far northeastern plains. Yep, storms that have lightning, wind, and 2-inch diameter hail. Why, you say? It's all part of a cold front dropping south along the Front Range that will bring a 20-degree temperature drop to many areas in northeastern Colorado tomorrow. That front doesn't have a ton of moisture with it, but a secondary wave overnight may mean some showers tomorrow afternoon and more cloud cover than sun. Tonight, though, heavy thunderstorms will continue northeast of Denver. There's still a chance of a few sprinkles, a little rumble of thunder, and a good chance of rain tomorrow. And we'll be monitoring that weather heading into the weekend, but the weather by the weekend does look better. Much improved. 56 tonight with a few showers early. Tomorrow, a cloudy, cooler day, low to mid 70s, feeling like fall around here. Back to almost 90 on Friday and a dry start to your weekend. Cool weather again on Sunday. Unusual for August to see temperatures this cool. And wow, those clouds are gorgeous, Pam, but they mean business, so beware.
Kathy, thanks. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a garden where you can get really, really high. because it sits atop Mount Evans. More than 300 species of plants and flowers scrapping out survival at 11,500 feet. One horticulturalist, Amy Schneider, tends to this very high grow operation.
It's getting windy. And this is the Mount Goliath natural area. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's Sileniacos. Isn't that cute? That's called Minuardia obtusiloba. That's Paronychia pulvinata. It takes years to learn these plants. Ooh, this is one of my favorite plants. We hike all over the mountain, off the trail all summer long. We find species that we want to represent in the garden that aren't here or that we want more of. And then we collect the seed when the seed's ready to be collected. We grow the plants, and then we bring them back up here the next year and we plant them in the garden so that people can see all the species that grow here. This is not land that we own. It's land that the U.S. Department of Agriculture owns. It's Arapaho National Forest, and we can send people here to experience alpine plants and trees and even the wildlife. There's not a lot of botanic gardens in the country that have a partnership like that with a satellite location. I like having an area we could send our visitors to. I love it. You know, I get to see a lot of things that other people don't see, and it's fun to see plants growing where they just naturally occur instead of in a garden setting.
Hear that wind. Watch the weather forecast carefully if you want to head up to Mount Goliath. The summit's usually open Memorial Day through Labor Day.
I've heard the story, I've repeated the story about the eagle on Denver City Hall, how it's defecating on the city as an act of an architect's revenge. But is that true? And a sign that everything going organic has gone too far. Next.
Every place has its local lore, legends passed down through the years. But are those stories actually true? That is what we'll explore in a series called Verify Legends. Our first legend is one I heard a decade ago. If you've been on a tour of Denver City Hall or the state capitol across the park, I bet you've heard it too. Our Brandon Ritteman explores the story of Denver's pooping eagle.
So we're going to start this story here at the Denver Zoo. I'm watching a male bald eagle named 2-0. We're waiting for him to poop because it's going to be important to tell the truth about a piece of Colorado history. It helps to understand the backstory a little.
Also on top there, we have a golden eagle.
Our legend sits at the very top of the city and county building.
There is a story behind that eagle.
A story told daily by politicians, business people, and tour guides like Janine from Denver Walking Tours.
The person that built that eagle, the artist, wasn't a big fan of Mayor Spears. So if you look at it, a lot of people seem to think that it looks like it's a bird kind of pooping on the city and county building. That's like the position that it's in, with the rise of wings and the tail back there.
We give you Verify Legend number 1, Denver's defecating eagle. Tellings vary, but the story almost always claims 1, the eagle's in a pose eagles only make while relieving themselves, 2, the artist designed it that way, and 3, it was meant as an insult to Mayor Robert Speer. That happens to be the easiest part. It's true, Speer had the vision for a great civic center in Denver, with a big park between the state capitol and Denver City Hall. But the idea that he ticked off the sculptor falls apart really quickly when you put this on a timeline. The city and county building did take a while to build. It opened in 1932. They broke ground in 29. The city picked the design in 1925. The eagle's sculptor was hired somewhere in this range. So what's the problem? Mayor Speer died in 1918, almost 7 years before anyone even knew there would be an eagle on top. The sculptor, Joseph Nicolosi, was a 25-year-old Italian immigrant at this time who'd never lived in Denver. The idea those two had a beef? Totally unsupported by the facts. But maybe there was some other beef, some other reason that they designed a pooping eagle on purpose. The city has scant few records about its own headquarters. Just a half a blueprint page. Doesn't even show the top of the building. But we found something better.
I have never heard of the eagle poop rumor.
The fact that this particular guy gave us that reaction, another big red flag.
My grandfather designed the building.
Bob Fuller inherited all the records from the architects. In his house, he's got the contract to build the building. That's his grandpa's signature. That's Mayor Benjamin Stapleton's. And we did find bad blood, after all, between the architects and the city.
The records show that they lost a pile of money. The architects were not well treated by the city of Denver.
Long story short, the Great Depression hit in October of '29. The city wanted to cut costs, sued the architects in 1930 on a technicality to get out of paying them, and then fired them. Major bad blood. In their records, the architects note they got stiffed to the tune of $84,000. That's worth $1.3 million in today's money. It was a huge deal. But what we care about is, did they change the eagle sculpture after that? Because that might show at least intent to design an eagle that's forever unloading on the city of Denver. Well, Bob had that answer too, sitting right behind him all this time. The first rendering the architects ever made. And look, the eagle's in the same position, wings up toward the sky. On our timeline, this is from 1925, before they ever hired a sculptor to make it. At this point, the architects were trying to look good. They wanted to win the city contract.
That eagle in that posture well predates any of the financial issues that the architects went through, or any possible bad blood during construction.
We should share there is a more realistic theory, that they simply copied the city's seal, which had already been around for 2 decades. It shows an eagle taking flight, wings up. So, another one bites the dust. No beef with Speer, no evidence of intent to mess with the city. But the question remains, is it in fact a sculpture of an eagle doing its business?
Yeah, you look spooked by something.
Oh, we got all nature documentary on this for you. We camped out until, boom, there it is. That's what it looks like for real, people. No wings up, tail feathers out to avoid getting any on itself. It looks nothing at all like Denver's eagle sculpture. But, in fairness, this is just one sample, so we asked the guy who's watched these eagles for 20 years.
You've seen eagles poop everywhere.
Yes, in the wild and here at the Denver Zoo.
There is no one way eagles poop.
That's right. To me, that eagle by the sculptor is looking like it's taking off, not pooping.
And the last part of our legend falls apart. We dug deep. We found nothing to support the story and holes in every part of it. We are calling this story false. The legend of Denver's defecating eagle's all kinds of fun, but it stinks. Wings up to high heaven. For Next, I'm Brandon Rittiman.
So we'd hope that tour guides would at least start mentioning that this is an urban legend, but won't hold our breath. The legends persist because people want to believe them. But now you know the truth. If you know of another local legend that deserves a second look, email verify@9news.com. We'll be back with a sign that the organic craze is totally out of control. It's a sign that some people will pay more for organic anything. This up in Leadville. Organic firewood, $4.99. What the what? Next viewer Laura Fair spotted this sign on County Road 4 on the way to Turquoise Lake. Laura said she made her boyfriend get out to take a picture, said they still haven't figured out if it's a joke or not. If you're not sure, if you're in on a sign's joke, or if you're on the outside looking in, email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. And Laura, so it appears a woman who goes by the name Hill put up some signs near Buena Vista years ago and then realized that organic firewood might be an actual business plan. She wrote on her website, organic firewood, didn't pound in fertilizer, didn't go out and water little buggers. What I did is fire up a saw and cut it down. It's all marketing. See you next time.